Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
After years of debate, the legalization of marijuana finally comes to Canada.
At the end of the day, while it is legalized as a substance, there are going to be rules and restrictions on the consumption of it.
And pot and tobacco users will have to adjust where they can smoke.
Are you going to push them blocks away from their place of work or from where they're enjoying a pint?
And local animal shelters are reaching their max capacity for cats.
There's cats in the bathroom, there's, cats in the hallways, there's cats in every room of our volunteers' houses.
NewsWatch starts now.
Good evening. We're now almost half a week into our country turning a new leaf.
In one of the largest changes to Canada's criminal code, pot is now legal coast to coast, but there are still questions on where to buy it and where to smoke it. Our Abby St. John joins us live from the South Lobby with more on that story.
Thanks, guys. The rules on alcohol consumption are fairly simple and uniform across the country. But when it comes to cannabis, you may want to look at the rules in the jurisdiction you live in before you decide to light one up. In our city, it seems to be focusing more on the safety and respect. What pot users wanted, they got early Wednesday morning. Numo Cannabis opened at 10 a.m. sharp, and the lineup went out the front door and down the streets. For many of these customers, the new regulations won't be hard to adhere to, as they say they've been responsible all along.
Nothing's really going to change for my usage. I'm sure there are people out there that'll be like, oh, it's legal, I can do whatever I want now. I'm not like that. And I think most of the people in that line are not going to be like that.
Inside, dime bags are now replaced with creatively marketed product designs, and employees will help you find the right product and what strain is best for you. Once you know what you want, it's like getting cigarettes from behind the counter. This Numo store is one of a kind in that you won't see a franchise, and owners hope they'll fit right into the community.
Us being an independent, we're really here for those people that have been working in this field to try to legalize it for a long time. And one of the main pillars that we focus on is community. We try to focus on the community as well as the culture and cannabis.
With cannabis stores now open, the question still remains on where in public you can smoke, particularly on one of Edmonton's busiest avenues. When the city released its guidelines for cannabis use, it allowed for people to smoke in public. Down on White Ave, the city has placed ashtrays around 10 meters from any window, doorway, and patio. Since White Ave is a very popular place to have a good night, the Edmonton Police Service realizes it's going to take some time to educate smokers, and for now, they don't want to be heavy-handed when it comes to issuing tickets.
I believe it's going to be pretty much business as usual in terms of our staff levels. If anything, it just adds one more thing to the list of tasks we need to ensure people are following.
While police are still learning how to enforce the new restrictions, they're hoping that the public will be just as cooperative. Now, cannabis is legal to smoke if you follow the city's guidelines. To find the full list of guidelines, you can visit edmonton.ca/cannabis.
Abby, what about edibles? Are those being sold in stores as well?
As of right now, edibles are illegal to be sold in stores, but they are looking to become legal by next fall. Now, it is legal if you are of age to make edibles yourself at home.
And does the price of cannabis compete from store to store?
In Alberta, the AGLC has set prices for the retail stores and the online store, but it all depends on what you purchase. For half a gram, it's about $6 to $7. For a full gram, it can range anywhere between $9 and $15. For 3.5 grams, it'll be about $30 to $40. And for oils, for 30 milliliters, you're looking at about $70. But it all depends on what kind of cannabis it is, what strain it is, and how much THC is in it.
Thanks, Abby. That's our Abby St. John reporting live from the South Lobby. If you plan on smoking pot or cigarettes in public, you'll need to be aware of some of the new restrictions. The City of Edmonton is redistributing and even removing some ashtrays to comply with new city bylaws. Earlier in September, City Council decided to change some smoking rules for both cannabis and tobacco, increasing the 5-meter no-smoking buffer zone from building entrances and bus shelters to 10 meters. This means fewer designated smoking zones and fewer ashtrays are in places such as Jasper Ave and White Ave. The Downtown Business Association believes that there are positives and negatives to the new bylaw.
So are you going to push them blocks away from their place of work or from where they're enjoying a pint? And is that going to be a negative impact? Or is it going to create a more smoke-free Jasper Avenue or White Avenue, which a lot of other people might enjoy?
In the next few months, the city's planning on asking Edmontonians for feedback on the changes, and they'll make adjustments as needed.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch, the next generation of news.
The Edmonton Public School District has registered over 100,000 students for this semester. The 3% increase has added a significant amount of students to the classrooms, with some already being crowded. However, Edmonton Public Schools have multiple strategies to keep classes small.
We're looking at other options through programs like Campus EPSB, which allows students to attend a semester at a different high school than their own, to have access to a program that might not be available at their home high school.
Edmonton Public Schools have already put in many portable classrooms, like this one at McLeod Elementary School. But as of now, projections are saying that by 2022, high schools in Edmonton will be overcrowded.
In what has been a never-ending kitten season here in Edmonton, local animal shelters like the Whitecourt Homeless Animal Rescue Foundation, well, they're loaded with cats.
Hey, go kitties. There.
Since last spring, Wharf has been at max capacity, and they've had to limit their intake to mostly just cats with medical emergencies. Right now, Wharf is housing about 64 cats, which makes for a pretty crowded space. But just this past summer, they were actually housing 80.
80 means, like, you know, there's cats in the bathroom, there's, you know, cats in the hallways. Well, even 64, like the cats that are in the store, like we handle them every day. They have food and water, but they're not getting the one-on-one attention like a normal cat in a foster home or a home would get.
If you want to adopt a cat, you can go into the Wharf store or visit their website at wharfrescue.ca.
Last Monday, a panel of guests gathered to discuss safer spaces for women in Edmonton.
This is not a women's issue. This is a community issue. And we all need to stand up.
A panel hosted by Mayor Don Iveson spoke on the dangers of sexual violence in Edmonton. City Councillor Bev Eslinger believes that we need to further educate people about sexual violence in women in Edmonton.
But what was really exciting was we learned that 90% of Edmontonians indicated that they would like to get involved if they witnessed it. But over half didn't know what to do or say.
In 2016, Edmonton had the second highest sexual assault rate in Canada, with 86% of the victims being female and 57% being Aboriginal.
Putting yourself in danger to help someone else is quite a unique quality.
The Royal Canadian Humane Society awarded 30 Albertans for their outstanding bravery and willingness to help others. Our Ryan Cavani has more.
Thanks, guys. It was an emotional ceremony filled with reflection. The recipients of the awards today were not honored without good reason. They all came from different backgrounds but shared one common trait. In a tough situation, they reacted quickly, willing to risk their lives to save someone else's. 30 Albertans stood proudly in front of family and friends while being awarded for their outstanding bravery in times of crisis.
In fact, I believe that strong and caring societies can be measured by how we react when the unexpected happens.
Among those honored was Constable Michael Chernick, recognized for his actions in a terror attack in Edmonton last September. Constable Chernick was struck by a man with a car near Commonwealth Stadium. The man and Chernick then began wrestling for control of his firearm. Despite being stabbed multiple times, he was able to secure his weapon and notify his fellow officers of the attack.
The Silver Medal for Bravery is awarded to Constable Michael Chernick.
All the winners had been through harrowing experiences, including Benjamin Prince, who tried to save a man's life after the man had been shot at a bar Prince worked at. Unfortunately, the man passed away.
I had a chance to meet my buddy there a couple times, and from the times I met him, he seemed like a great guy, and I just feel sorry for his family, and they had to go through this loss.
Another one of the honored is Stephen Arruda. Arruda was attending a music festival in Las Vegas when a now infamous gunman opened fire from his hotel window into the crowd. During the shooting, Arruda noticed that concert goers were trapped behind a large fence, so he began lifting people over to safety. 58 people were killed, and Arruda was among the 500 wounded. 27 other Albertans were among those honored today. The Royal Canadian Humane Society has 4 levels of awards that it gives out for people who show extraordinary bravery in hard situations. The first level being an honorary testimonial certificate, levels 2 and 3 being a bronze and silver medal for bravery, and the 4th level is the gold medal for bravery, which is generally only awarded when someone pays the ultimate sacrifice, giving their life to save another. For NAIT NewsWatch, I'm Ryan Cavani.
Thanks, Ryan. Albertans can now get their flu shots for free. The last few months of the year is when flu symptoms are most common. The easiest way to protect yourself is getting a flu shot at clinics and pharmacies. And for NAIT students, you can get yours right here on campus. This is something the head of NAIT Health Services, Christine Bannerman, highly suggests you do because of the flu's high potency in schools.
Because we're in some of your classes close proximity to a lot of people, and the flu vaccine or the flu you can easily spread by coughing, coughing not covering your mouth, and by touch.
Free flu shots will be available starting next week on Tuesday at NAIT clinics, as long as you bring your identification and your Alberta Healthcare card.
Pogo is partnering with NAIT to include its campus as their northernmost location. Pogo is a car share app that allows students to get into a Pogo car and use it for errands, commuting, and road trips. With the partnership, NAIT students will receive a free membership and 30 minutes of free drive time with the code NAIT. As of now, there are 3 designated Pogo spots on the NAIT campus located in parking lot G under the main pedway.
We're kind of landlocked. Our ability to add more stalls is not in the foreseeable future. So it's really about looking at the opportunity to look at multimodal transportations and also car share so that our kind of dependence on single vehicle travel is mitigated.
Once you're done using the car, all you have to do is drop it off at a designated Pogo spot. All City of Edmonton street parking within designated zones is free. The app is already servicing the U of A and McEwen.
Edmonton hosted the biggest cooking competition in Canada for the first time. Canada's Great Kitchen Party, like the name suggests, is a social gathering that celebrates many pillars of Canadian culture, including sports, music, and above all, food. Among the festivities was the Golden Plate Cooking Contest featuring 10 of the finest restaurant owners in Edmonton, one of whom is Scott Downey, seeing the offer to promote his 1-year-old restaurant, the Butternut Tree. He gladly accepted his invitation to participate. He also saw the competition being held in Edmonton as a strong sign of progress for our city's culinary industry.
For us, it's much more, we've been open for about a year. It's kind of a great way to show people, once again, what we're doing as a restaurant. It's a great way to show people what Canadian food is, what Canadian cuisine is, and just do it on kind of a grand stage.
Some of NAIT's culinary students were also in attendance, lending a helping hand and learning from the industry pros. For more info on Canada's Greatest Kitchen Party and to see the contest winner, head to greatkitchenparty.com.
Just when you thought yoga couldn't get any more relaxing, Puppy Yoga returned to NAIT for another afternoon event. With 2 classes available, spots booked up faster than you could say fetch. Each class had a $5 entrance fee, with the proceeds going to a local animal rescue. The class is aimed at allowing students to take their minds off their midterms while following a gently guided yoga class.
I think there's a lot of shown benefits of animal therapy, and I know that yoga and mindfulness is a really good way to manage stress and just find a little pocket in your day to release. I think that's so important for students, so yeah.
Due to the high demand, students were asked to only choose one of the classes. As of now, there is no second date planned. Students can keep an eye out for NAITSA events by looking them up on the NAITSA website. Coming up after the break, we check out NAIT's newest petting zoo.
And how it helps students relieve the pressure of exams.
Research has shown that when you interact with animals, especially if you enjoy it, your body actually releases hormones that make you feel good.
Coming up in sports, the men's basketball team has a new starting point guard.
And we take a closer look at the men's and ladies soccer team as they head into provincials. I also seek my inner Robin Hood. All this up next in sports.
The snow and rain are gone and the sun is back, and hopefully that will stay for the weekend. I'll have all that and more coming up after the break.
So, the UK has just instituted the toughest ban on ivory trade Europe has ever seen. With this exciting button push.
It's 1:59. My ears are bleeding. Underwear required over 40 stitches to her face. Good afternoon, it's 2 o'clock. I'm Jenna Winterburn with your NR92 News Update.
You're listening to NR92.
Well, I couldn't foresee myself going fishing this weekend because we've been getting some pretty good weather these past couple days.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple weeks ago, I actually thought that I'd be having to wear a jacket in the mornings, but I was wearing a t-shirt walking around just outside of NAIT. Jasmine, you got anything more?
Definitely right. It's going to be warmer out here. It's going to be one of the sunniest weekends we've had in the past month, and that's going to start in Calgary as they have a high of 14 degrees. Now, it looks to be sunny there all weekend, and they'll have a low of 1. Now, in Jasper, in the mountains, there's going to be a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 13 degrees. They will have a low of -2, but nothing too bad. Now, in Fort McMurray, they also are close to that range as they have a high of 12 degrees and a low of -1. And again, it's going to be sunny there all weekend. Now, back here in Edmonton, we are at 15 degrees, which is pretty nice, and I'm happy about that. And it's going to be partly cloudy. There's going to be some sun, but it's going to be a low of -1. Now, the averages for around this time, it's going to be, the average is at around 10 degrees, which is a little bit lower than what we are having, but it's not too low, so that's okay. And the average low is at -1. Now, the record high was set back in 1940 at 26 degrees. Now, I wish we were up there, but we're not going to be, sadly. And then 10 years later, there was the record low of -20, and that's too cold for me, and I'm glad we're not quite there yet, but it's probably coming soon, maybe in 2 months or so. But that's been your weather. Back to you guys.
NewsWatch Weather is brought to you by NR92, the station for the students.
Thanks, Jasmine. As you saw earlier, yoga and puppies are making for a relaxing tandem activity. If that's not enough, students looking to take their mind off their midterms this week went and checked out NAIT's second annual petting zoo.
And what better way to do that than with the animals from the Thistle Hill Farms? Our Michael Pander has more.
Interacting with animals is a great way to reduce stress and anxiety that can arise during exam season. NAIT Student Counseling welcomes students to join the animals from Thistle Hill Farms, Edmonton's oldest licensed petting zoo. Linda Shaw, a registered nurse at NAIT, believes this is a great opportunity for students to de-stress.
So research has shown that when you interact with animals, especially if you enjoy it, your body actually releases hormones that make you feel good, and it reduces your cortisol levels, which are your stress hormone.
The petting zoo hosted the likes of bunnies, guinea pigs, roosters, goats, and calves. Linda says that these animals will help students just as much as a therapy dog would.
And so we thought we'd try some other animals, and we had a really overwhelmingly positive response to that, and a lot of requests that we do this again, so that's how that happened that we're doing it.
The petting zoo was a great way for students to unwind. Even students who had midterms in the afternoon found the time to come and pet some guinea pigs.
They're just so cute and fluffy, and it's a good way to get your mind off of the studies and tasks that we have today.
With the end of the semester nearing, students are encouraged to keep an eye on their mental health. They can do so with the resources provided to them or by visiting the Counseling Center on the first floor of the HP building. For NAIT NewsWatch, I'm Michael Pander.
It's going to be a fruitful next couple weeks for sports fans, especially in football, as the Huskies head to the playoffs. And I believe the men's Ooks basketball team is starting up now.
Yeah, they do. They actually start up tonight, and with fall sports winding down, heading into playoff season, and winter sports just starting off, every team has high hopes. Peter, what do you know?
Well, guys, I do have a little bit of info for you. Like, the Ooks men's team has one thing on their mind, and that's making it past provincials. The men are on a 7-game winning streak after starting the season with a tie. They know they will have to earn their way to nationals by first making it through provincials. Ooks midfielder Abe Dukley feels the team's chemistry will get them past provincials.
It's the best teams in each league playing against each other, so it should be good. But I feel like if our bond keep getting better, we will succeed.
The Ooks take on Grand Prairie on Saturday and then Concordia on Sunday. If they win either of those 2 games, they will earn their spot in provincials, making their goal of going to nationals realistic. The Lady Ooks soccer team looked to finish off a dominant season. The Lady Ooks have been dominating force on the pitch this season. Their closest game was an early 2-1 win over Concordia. Since then, Coach Carol Holt has the Ooks focused and ready to make their way to provincials, and more importantly, nationals. I do have a couple of crazy stats for you guys, though. The ladies have won more games by 6 or more goals than the second-place team, Concordia, has wins. And they've also put up a total of 49 goals in only 8 games so far. The men's Ooks basketball team has a new starting point guard, and he's bringing a different style to the court. Solo Ellis is one of the rare pass-first point guards still left in the game. Born in St. Paul, Minnesota, he has grown up playing ball on both sides of the border. Ellis has played for the University of Wisconsin Stout before transferring to Red Deer. Now, with help from head coach Mike Connolly, Ellis is bringing his style of play to the Ooks.
I think Canada basketball is really underrated. I played NCAA, and it's pretty similar. I like the fast pace of Canada more. With the FIBA rules and the 24-second shot clock, you get to play a lot faster. It's more like how I like to play.
Ellis and the Ooks squad have their first regular season game tonight versus the Lakeland Wrestlers at NAIT Gymnasium. Tip-off will be at 6 p.m. The Edmonton Huskies are looking for a different result as they are set for a semifinal rematch this weekend. The Huskies are back in the Prairie Football Conference semifinals, and just like last year, they are taking on the Regina Thunder. They know they need to learn from their past mistakes if they want to make up for the last year's semifinals. Huskies defensive coordinator Jeff Tobert knows that they must crave the football in order to win.
We're drilling to get after the football. We need to run to the football hard. We need to take the football away. So we're, all good things happen when you get to the football. So if we can take care of that, then I'm pretty sure we'll be just fine.
The Huskies know what they need to do in order to change their fortune. However, they will have to do it at Commonwealth Stadium instead of their home field, Clark Park. The big game is Sunday at 1 p.m. The Edmonton Eskimos will be in a dogfight this evening as they take on the BC Lions for what is certain to be the battle for the final playoff spot. It's coming down to the wire for the Edmonton Eskimos, who are trying to make the playoffs, and it's simple for them. Win the final 2 games and they're in. But if they only win one of the two games, they will need some help. So the road to the playoffs begins by beating the BC Lions, who are just ahead of them in the standings. These are percentages of the Eskies making the playoffs depending on how their final 2 games go. As you can see, they realistically only need to win one of the final 2 games to secure a playoff spot, as one win gives them over a 72% chance of making the playoffs. And I remember as a little child those little bow and arrows, but apparently when you grow up, shooting those real ones isn't that easy. So I went down to Wild Archery to learn how to shoot one. Wild Archery is ran by owner Justin Watson, who has been shooting a bow and arrow for over 30 years now, so he knows the kind of patience you need to shoot one of the world's oldest weapons.
Anybody can pull back a string and let the string go, but it's the patience to let yourself learn and develop.
After explaining parts of the arrow like the hen vein, which are the same color, and the cock vein, which is the odd color vein, he showed me how the arrow would release off the bow. After that, he gave me a quick demo.
Your arm's going to be straight out at the target. You're going to take your 3 fingers, kind of like the scout salute, index, middle, and ring finger. You're going to put them underneath the arrow into this first crease here. It's called an archer's crease. So you're just going to put those underneath the arrow. Your arm's going to be straight out, and you're going to draw straight back to your face, and when you're ready to shoot.
Seeing the arrow in action was exciting to say the least, and going down to see his handiwork was striking. After a few more helpful tips from Justin, I decided it was time to let one fly. After I hit my first bullseye, I asked him when he hit his.
I think I was about 8, and it was the best thing ever.
We then had ourselves a friendly little shootout, where again, I got the upper hand. Oh, got him! If you want to know more about archery, you can come down to Wild Archery and learn about the different types of bow and arrows. For NAIT NewsWatch, I'm Peter Go.
Now, Peter, you told me you were struggling a little bit behind the scenes, but as we saw, you did get a little bit better. How difficult was it out there?
At first, it was a little difficult. The bows have different kinds of a weight, so that was just a 20-pound bow, so it was a little bit easier after I got more familiar with it.
And I remember you mentioning something about a hen vane. Can you elaborate on what that is?
Yeah, so on parts of the arrow where the feathers usually are what people perceive the feathers to be, there's 2 different colors. Those are the hen vane. And the other color that's by itself separately, that's the cock vane.
Ah, I see. Well, thanks, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up after the break, we visit Suit Yourself Women's Clothing Store.
They help disadvantaged women find formal clothing for free.
And she came out of the dressing room and she was in tears. And she said, I can do this. I got this.
We get a taste of eternity as I head over to Fort Edmonton Dark, newest and scariest event, Dark.
Huck! What the? Don't miss out on Ooks hockey. Catch Ooks play-by-play for home games Friday and Saturday nights.
Light the lamp with NR92.com, the station for the students.
NewsWatch jackets provided by Elite Promotional Marketing and Timberland Supply.
The Suit Yourself Women's Charity has been providing formal clothing to less fortunate women for over 17 years.
That's right. Connor and I swung by the shop to take a look.
Suit Yourself works with volunteers to give formal clothing to about 600 disadvantaged women every year at no cost. They only offer their clothes to women who are looking for employment or are transitioning in the workforce. Suit Yourself Executive Director Lori McConnell believes that Suit Yourself can be a huge confidence booster for the people that they serve.
I remember her trying on a Calvin Klein suit and saying, I don't know that I could pull off a Calvin Klein suit. And she came out of the dressing room and she was in tears. And she said, I can do this. I got this.
To donate clothes, go to suityourselfclothes.org under the How to Help tab to book an appointment. And Logan, we're inching closer to Halloween, and that means that there is some pretty spooky events going on in Edmonton this week.
Yeah, I was hoping to get scared myself pretty quick. Hey, Sarah, what do you got for us in entertainment?
Well, guys, it's been a crazy busy week for entertainment. For the first time ever, Fort Edmonton Park has opened its doors to the public and unleashes the dark. Dark is a state of terror like no other. Its actors and attractions are meant to haunt thrill seekers to their core.
What we want to do is we want to change the chemistry in people's bodies. We want them to feel something and experience something that they will never forget. And it doesn't have to be a good experience.
Right.
The event is 14 plus, not only because of the scares, but because spooky drinks will be served throughout the event. In order to keep you in the dark, we can't show any footage from inside the houses. This is something you need to experience for yourself. From skeleton statues to food offerings, the Day of the Dead decorations are in full swing at the Mutt Hart. Contrary to popular belief, the Day of the Dead has nothing to do with Halloween. This holiday takes place on November 2nd and celebrates the lives of the loved ones who have passed on. This holiday is most commonly celebrated in Mexico through the Hispanic community.
A really great cultural experience. We're not just showcasing flowers, so I've noticed a lot of the people from the Latin American community are very excited about the Day of the Dead because they're able to celebrate it, whereas they might not normally be able to.
This display will only be here until November. Make sure you check it out before it's gone. Performers at the Fringe Theatre of Edmonton are bringing the book Blood to life. The story opens with twin sisters Poubelle and Angelique laying in a puddle of blood on the highway after a tragic car accident takes place and leaves them orphaned.
This is like a very relevant play, first of all. I think genre-wise, it's exciting. It's a thriller. There's mystery, there's conflict, there's death, there's blood, there's drowning, there's twins.
It's the connection I think is something that should draw people in, and then also it's weird, and people like weird stuff.
For more information on the play and to purchase your tickets, head over to www.fringetheater.ca. Oscar-winning actress and American comedian Tiffany Haddish stars in Tyler Perry's latest comedy, Nobody's Fool.
My sister is a bit much.
How can I help you? You've been standing in line all this time and you don't know what you want. Okay, you could just stand right there.
Black sheep of the family, Tanya, looks to her picture-perfect sister Danica to help her get her life back on track. Before too long, Tanya learns her sister's life might not be so perfect after all. You can catch this comedy in theaters November 2nd, and we want to hook you up. The first person who tweets to NAIT NewsWatch correct answer to our question, we'll see Nobody's Fool in theaters. Name a 2017 comedy that Tiffany Haddish starred in. Here's a hint for you guys. It's about a trip. If you answer correctly, all this could be yours. That's all for entertainment, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Sarah, and thank you guys for tuning in this week to NAIT NewsWatch. We hope you enjoyed it.
We'll see you next week, and we hope you have a great weekend.